It feels like just yesterday I was watching TED Talks in class, thinking, that person is smart. That person has their life together. If you told me before that I'd be invited to speak for TEDx at 22, I'd tell you, no way. If you told me that I'd make videos that would reach millions, I'd say that's impossible. But I was wrong. So that's what I want to talk to you about today. How to turn something you might think is impossible into your reality by using positivity to harness your mind. When I was little, I thought I was special. I thought I was going to do something big or be known for something. I loved performing. I loved singing. And despite my parents telling me that singing would get you nowhere in life, I sang at every school concert there was. Then I learned it wasn't just me. Everyone grows up feeling like they'll do something big. Everyone has a dream. But somewhere along the way, we lose that sense of purpose. We give in to reality, real life, and leave our passions aside. But you see, I think positivity starts there. Positivity starts with having that sense of purpose, acknowledging that you are here for a reason. People might think, I'm just one person, right? What difference am I going to make? Or they think there are 7 billion other people on this planet. It's not my turn. It's not my turn to dream. That dreamer that we once were slowly gets stripped away as we grow older. How? Well, we know that schools or the entire system of public education, they teach us to be a disciplined generation. And in Ken Robinson's talk, How Schools Kill Creativity, he said that what happens is, as children grow up, we educate them progressively from the waist up. And then slowly, we focus on their heads and slightly to one side. Now, it's true that schools teach us to follow the rules and follow the textbooks, and they usually tell us, well, mistakes, don't do them. And then we hear from successful people like Steve Jobs and J.K. Rowling, and they always talk about failures, right? They always say failures is the stepping stones to success. In order to succeed, you must fail. So which is it? Mistakes, good, bad? Real life also intervenes with our dreams. Society might make us choose a path that is more, not as desirable to us, but is what is expected. And so people put their heads down and they do what's safe. They don't believe. You know alternate universes or parallel universes? I'm thinking Rick and Morty. Yeah, that's probably a bad reference. But alternate universe is the concept that there are infinite other timelines, a hypothetical self-contained reality. So the idea that there are infinite other versions of ourselves, of me and of you, but the circumstances of those realities are dependent on the choices that we make throughout our lives. So like in Back to the Future, if Biff hadn't found that sports results almanac, then how the things would have been different. To tell you a little story, my father, when he was just 23, he moved all the way from France to Hong Kong by himself with little money, and he didn't really speak English. But he heard Hong Kong was a good place for business, and in business was his interest. Well, long story short, it took time, but he succeeded. And he was able to retire at a fairly young age. Imagine in an alternate universe, though, he never found the courage. He listened to the what-ifs, or he'd chosen to be safe. In that reality, he wouldn't have found success in his talent. He then wouldn't have met my mother, and safe to say, he wouldn't have had a prodigy of a daughter. No, but let's just see that. Like, if you think about that for a second, if alternate universe was a thing. He chose positivity. He listened to positivity to take a risk. None of his friends were going across the world, but he listened to his gut, that he could take a risk. Positivity paved his path, It led him to across the world here, and it led him to his dream come true. Well, I'm hoping my mom is his dream come true. I don't know. Well, Einstein, he said that success, we have all heard this, is 1% genius and 99% hard work. But how do we work hard if we don't believe in ourselves? How do we keep going if we're thinking constantly that we can't do it? There's someone else better than us, just forget it. Positivity is a major key to success. And that's it. That's how I think helped me get to this stage today. When I was in my last year of university, I posted my first video. And it wasn't just like a record and post situation. It was a whole 1 year lead up to it. I was the type of person that needed reinforcement with every decision I made. I mean, even from ordering from a menu, okay? I probably need your advice. And I mean from a set menu where the options are already limited. Okay, maybe I still do that sometimes. But anyway, it began with Snapchat. I loved making videos on Snapchat, talking, trying to entertain. When I noticed that most of my other friends would post food or their friends and parties. I mean, I did that too, but I loved just talking and making videos. Then I felt that the audience of 30 people on my Snapchat friends list wasn't enough. It wasn't satisfying me. I wanted to be noticed by strangers, by the world. Then I felt stupid. Who was I to think that I could make anything worth being noticed? I mean, there are thousands and thousands of uploads a day. Self-doubt festered my mind. I mean, I still remember how that weight felt, that burden. But no matter how many times I tried to talk myself out of it, that fire wouldn't dim. That fire wanted to create and it wanted to inspire. I told my boyfriend at the time I wanted to make a YouTube channel. He said, "About what?" I said, "I don't know." I told my friend at the time I wanted to make a YouTube channel. She said, Who do you think will watch?" I said, "I don't know." That was enough to put my fire out for a little bit. Half a year later, I met Dan. You might have seen him in my videos. I said to him, "This is stupid, but I kind of want to start a YouTube channel." And he looked at me, and he said 3 words. He looked at me, and he said, "Go for it." He said, "Go for it. I think you'll be great." Just like that. So easy, right? And just like that, with every word of encouragement that came out of his mouth, I felt the weight, that burden that told me I couldn't for a year dissipate. Just left me. All because Dan chose positivity. And from that moment, the fire within me grew bigger and bigger, and until it took over me and poured onto pen and paper. And then I taped my iPhone to my bedroom wall, and I hit record. That's how I made my first few videos. Please don't watch them. I was like, okay, I'm going to do this. YouTube.com, I posted 1 video. I posted 3 videos. I posted 5. I posted 7, and nothing. I probably had 100 video views altogether, and half of them were mine. But, yeah, no strangers, no the world. Yeah, I did. I wanted to give up, to be honest, because it takes a lot of time and a lot of effort to make a video, especially, when I was still in university and I was teaching part-time. There's a lot that goes into it, especially if you've never made a video before. I was like, what's the point? Like, it's not happening. Just like that. Self-doubt, negativity, straight back in. But hard work doesn't equate success, at least not immediately. It's not a hand-in-hand transaction. And with what mental strength I had left, coupled with Dan's force of positivity, I kept going. I kept posting. And I came across a quote from Tony Robbins. It said, "Persistence overshadows even talent as the most valuable resource shaping the quality of life." And that's really true. Persistence is important, and positivity encourages persistence. Because how can you keep going? How can you not give up if you're allowing your mind to tell you that you can't, just forget it? You wouldn't. And so I also had to be patient. I told myself I was doing something I loved and I enjoyed. But still, my dream was to be something more. Again, it was to be noticed and to maybe make a little impact with my videos and my ideas. It really seemed impossible at the time, like seriously impossible. But however impossible, I found myself continuously envisioning my goals, who I wanted to be and what I wanted to achieve. I daydreamed about my videos reaching 100 views, 1,000 views, 10,000 views. Yeah, it seemed impossible, but I wanted it. I wanted it. Fast forward now, February 2017, my last year of university. I was getting these bunch of notifications on my phone, and I had no idea what they could be about. So I looked at my phone and looked at the notifications. It was Facebook. It was my Facebook page, and I was like, okay. Well, I opened the notifications, and they were all about this one video that I made. I looked at it, and, well, it didn't have 100 views. It didn't have 1,000 views. It didn't have 10,000 views. It had 1 million views. 1 million. I can't even explain to you how that felt to me, that I had gone viral. It was random. It was unreal. I had no idea how that happened, but it did. Yeah. So all that I had envisioned all that time from my mind came out and became a reality before my eyes. So imagine there were alternate universes. You don't get to flip through a catalog book and see which decision you make would result in the best outcome and choose to live in that reality. You don't get to pause and go back and redo like from Bandersnatch on Netflix, no. But what you can choose is what you do in this one. So base the decisions you make off that. Yeah, it can be scary taking risks. It can be scary stepping out of your comfort zone. But you want to know what I always ask myself when I'm afraid? What's the worst that could happen? What's the worst that could happen? In most cases, nothing. You know, what's stopping us most of the time is that the fear of the unknown, or the fear of failure, or the fear of what people think about us. There's often nothing really physical, no physical interference. It's all up in here. And people are having amazing ideas, and they think, I don't know, I wouldn't know where to start. Forget about it. Or they think, well, I don't have the time or the money. Or it could be procrastination. That one gets me too. They think, I'll do it tomorrow. But tomorrow leads to tomorrow. And tomorrow leads to nowhere. So, choose to see yourself as part of the bigger picture. Yeah, there are 7 billion people on the planet, in fact, edging on to 8 billion people. But when it all comes down to it, we are all just one. And imagine in an alternate universe that I had given up all those years ago. I had let my mind tell me that I was useless and there's no point. I had succumbed to the many, many naysayers in my life that tell me just forget about it. I would have never found a job that I truly love so early on in my life. I would have never found out that I could make videos that would reach millions of people. And I most certainly would not be standing on the stage here with you today. So, Will you choose this timeline to live your best, most fulfilling life? Will you take charge of your future and be fearless? Will you say yes to opportunities and strive for your other selves and all the alternate universes wish they were living in yours? I have, and I will. Say your timeline is already determined and there could be two endings. A happy ending or a sad ending. Positive or negative. Which will you choose?